TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Now, when you went over to work for Vince, how did that come about? Who approached you?
Vince Sr. had told Andre to tell me that he wanted me to come when I finished in Texas, but instead I went to Crockett Promotion.
Right.
So anyway, they was looking for me after I went to the Crockett Promotion, so they got Gary Hart to get a hold of me and told me to call Vince. So I called Vince. I called, direct to Vince. And he told me, said, man, what you doing down there? So I thought you were supposed to come here. The old man had died. I never did get a chance to meet the old man.
Right, Senior.
Yeah. So, Vince Sr. So anyway, I gave him a call, and he said, I want you up here, and I want the guy that's with you too Friday.
Huh.
So that's how I got to WWF.
Was it true that when you were in the locker room that Andre would make racist jokes and stuff?
No, I never heard him. I can't remember hearing him make a racist joke around me. But he made one around Bad News Allen, I heard. But Bad News got on him and stopped him from doing that. But I can't remember him making any racist joke. I've heard of him making a lot of them, but I never heard him myself.
Now, when you first got into the company, WWF, of course, their audience were huge compared to some of the territories that you worked. Yeah. What was that like working in front of a huge crowd for the first time?
Yeah, well, it really didn't bother me a lot because, I had been in front of 12,000 people at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, so it didn't really bother me a lot, but it was, 20,000 was a lot different from the 12,000, so it was amazing.
Huh. How'd you get along with Fred Blassie?
Real good. Oh, yeah, I love Freddie. Yeah, I got along real good with Freddie.
Now, also when they brought you in, you did some vignettes and you did the TNT skits back in the day?
Yeah,
TNT.
Uh-huh.
What are your memories of that? Because I remember you did one that was hilarious with the chickens.
The chicken, yeah, that's what I remember about it most is me doing the chicken. Yeah, that was kind of funny. And now that's what I will look at every once in a while. Now I had that video.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you worked Andre again when you first came into the company. Also, has Andre changed at all from working with him earlier on? You said your matches got easier with Andre.
Yeah. Even though I was in his territory, I called it his territory because he was booked out with Vince. So they was easy. I didn't have no problem at all with Andre.
You also worked with Hulk Hogan. What was your memories of working with Hogan?
Hogan was just like a dream come true. A true champion. And I felt comfortable working with him. He would let me do anything I wanted to do to help me get myself over. He was just a real sweetheart to work with. And the last time I worked with him was in '95, was the same.
Now, was it true that Hogan basically gave you some advice about, getting paid?
Hogan told me once, he said, he came in the dressing room where we was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the Spectrum. And he said, Kamala, he said, brother, you putting asses on the seat. I hope you getting paid because I'm getting mine. And that started me to thinking. So, I went to Vince a few times, but Vince said, if you think you can make more money somewhere else, you're welcome to go. I don't want to hold you back from making money, but it wasn't nowhere to go then.
Wow. Did you talk to Vince about it?
Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
And
what was the outcome?
He told me I was welcome to go.
Did you get to see...
No, I stayed there because there was nowhere else to go.
Did you see, increases in pay or no?
No, not at all.
You also worked with Jake Roberts. Describe Jake in and out of the ring. What was he like?
Jake he's a good mouthpiece and a hell of a worker. But he stays so high. When he out of the ring, he just so... I never worked with him when he was high in the ring. If he were, I didn't know it.
Right.
But Jake just stays so high all the time, He just was running himself.
Do you think that was because of the road schedule, or...?
It might have been because I had one of the guys to come up to me and ask me, did I do any drug, cocaine and stuff like that. And I told them no. They said, you don't? Well, how in the hell do you stay up here? I just stayed.
You coped with it without doing any...
Yeah, I never done drugs.
Good.
I smoked a marijuana one time, And it had me so high, I said, if I ever come down, I won't smoke another one.
What about Tony Atlas? Did you get along with Tony Atlas?
Yeah, get along with him real good.
Cool. Now, there's a rumor going around that you actually stripped a young Mick Foley during this time period.
Size.
Cactus Jack. Did you stretch Cactus
Stretch
Jack?
No. I don't even know how to stretch anybody. No, Cactus Jack, I remember working with him doing some of his first matches. And, he did a real good job for me. But what it was is he made a mistake in the ring. And when a person make a mistake, he just make a mistake and make a mistake in anything. And when he came back to the dressing room, he thought that I was going to yell at him and, this and that. But when he got back to the dressing room, he said, I'm sorry. I said, man, don't worry about it, Chuck. I don't even remember what he missed, the mistake. Right. So, I don't do that because I figure he's a grown man.
Memories of working with Curtis Ikea.
Yeah. Good manager, good mouthpiece. Yeah, I had a lot of good time with him.
Huh. They also teamed you up with Sika.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a lot of matches together, and I enjoyed working with Sika.
Was there anybody actually that was hard to work with at this time period at all in WWF?
No. I can't think of anybody that was hard to work with. It was some people that I just didn't have good matches with like I did others. That's all. But for the people, there wasn't nothing wrong with them that I can remember.
They also actually paired you with Mr. Fuji. What are your memories of being paired with Mr. Fuji?
Yeah, I don't think he was the right manager for my gimmick, Mr. Fuji. But I mean, he was all right, but he just wasn't the right manager for my gimmick.
Now, I know they put Steve Lombardi at one point with you as your Friday.
Yeah.
Why was that?
I don't know because Steve had been there so long, and then when they brought me back in the second time,
right?
They put him with me, which he done a heck of a job. Steve done a heck of a job. We got along good. We was good friends, and everything was all right except that, he just like to smoke that stuff in the car, and I'd be scared to death because I know they're going to take all us to jail. They catch us. That's the only thing.
Like with Duggan and Iron Sheik.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't want to go to jail, period,
Right.
They're going to charge me too.
So on your first run, it was the original Friday who was with you? Okay.
Yeah,
and your second run, it was Lombardi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about Mr. Fuji, and now he was notorious for ribbing people. Did you ever see any ribs?
Yeah, I saw a lot of ribs. I remember one rib where the British Bulldog, they were some of the biggest ribbers up there.
Right.
And I saw one where when we had a guy called Outback Jack. He was there. And we was all in a battle royal. So what they done, the Bulldog went in the ring with a razor blade. And Outback wore those long pants. And Chuck there, and he just had strings when he come out, but he didn't know who did it. And it was the Bulldogs.
Now, your run in WWF at that time was fairly brief. Why is that?
One thing about it, I wasn't used to the big city. And I got bored and wanted to go back home, and that's what I did. So I just walked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it the traveling that got you, or was it just you were just...
Yeah, and it was the traveling. I was used to traveling, but not in all the big cities.
Right.
And, like New York and all these big cities, these buildings was too tall for me. And so I took a walk.
Did a lot of people recognize you at that time period on the streets at all? But
No.
No.
Now, a few places that they will recognize me in without my gimmick on is Louisiana and Newark.
Now, I remember when I was a little kid, you would be at the Spectrum and you were walking into the building at one time and you had your gimmick on, you had your cape on. And I remember I was probably like 10 at the time. A fan pulled your cape off.
Yep. I remember that too.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah.
You didn't even look. You just turned around and swung at all the fans. It was crazy.
Yeah.
You were right in the gimmick.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, where did you go from WWF? And actually, before you left, did you leave on good terms with Vince?
No, I just walked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just walked.
Were you under contract or?
Yeah, but the contract was not a money contract. I never had a money contract. They were just for
TVs.
Yeah, just to stay there for 2 years.
Like exclusive.
Yeah.
Not the work.
That's it.
Did you think you burnt your bridge at that time?
Yeah, I knew I messed up then, but anyway, he brought me back.
Right, 92.
Did Vince allow you to work other spots? Like
No.
after you left? No, you.
Oh, after I left? Yeah.
Yeah. Did he like threaten any action against you?
No.
You
No.
kind of let you go then, even though you walked out.
Yeah, he didn't say nothing.
Huh.
Never heard nothing.
Who were your favorite opponents back then before you left?
The reason I say Hogan is not because he was a champion, because he was. Now, another one that I really like I could work with him every night is Bret Hart.
Brett?
Yeah, I love working with Bret.
What are your memories of Brett and some of the matches you had with Brett?
A lot of the matches we used to have, I used to love to do my leapfrog. And I used to call my leapfrog. And I could do it so good with Bret. The leapfrog and then the back kick.
The kick, yeah.
Yeah.
What was Brett like outside the ring?
Quiet. Kind of stayed to himself. He was always quiet, but a super guy.
Was the locker room at that time political, or was Vince pretty much the man in charge?
Vince pretty much the man in charge. Well, the guys that's his agents. Now, back during that time, the whole time I was in the WWE, WWF. Now I think this was racist. I could get there to the dressing room early, Steve Lombard and I find me a decent dressing room where I can sit down and put my paint on. I always get there early. And after the agents get there, they'll put a sign on the door of some of the other wrestlers, which was white. And that means I had to get out of there. So that wasn't right. So what Steve would do is go and find me a place somewhere out in the building and take old curtains and old strings somewhere and just corner me off a little place where it was cold, you freeze to death in the wintertime, and in the summertime, no air conditioning. It was terrible. Unless they just had plenty of rooms. Other than that, I have to get out.
You didn't speak up. I mean, you were a mainstay.
Yeah, I told Vince about it once, and Vince said he didn't know that was going on, and that he was going, that he was going to look into it. Well, I called Vince on the phone one day, and I told him about that, but nothing ever changed.
Nothing changed at all.
No, nothing changed at all.
Did you find that there was a lot of racism in wrestling?
Yeah, because back then they wouldn't let your blacks gonna do jobs. Most blacks gonna do jobs. They'll never be a champion. I mean, now I think they have. I think they said Booker T became a champion at one time.
Well, Ron Simmons too.
Ron Simmons,
Yeah.
He won
For Bill Watts.
Bill Watts in early 90s.
Wasn't Ernie Ladd also a champion for Bill Watts?
Like a regional champion, but not like a world champion.
I think Ron Simmons was.
Yeah.
Ron Simmons was the first.
Yeah.
Did you find that there was a lot of racism more in maybe like in the Memphis area, like Tennessee and maybe Mississippi, just because, that region,
Yeah.
it says more, I would say more racist, especially 25 years ago. Was it tougher like when you first broke in maybe?
Yeah, I think so. But like I say, they would have the blacks did all the jobs.
Right.
The blacks did all the jobs. They would never let us win unless the only way we would win is against another black.
Right.
A white that just came in and he was just totally green, didn't know nothing.
What's your opinion, like on this subject? Do you have an opinion of Thunderbolt Patterson? Because it seems like he was the one who spoke up the most about racism maybe 20 years ago, and I think it kind of, I would say he almost got blackballed by a lot of promoters. Is that true?
Yeah, I heard he did. I heard he got blackballed by a lot of promoters, but that's one guy that I never met.
Right.
It's Thunderbolt Patterson.
Right.
After WWF, you went back to Texas. How did things change in Texas from the first time you were there?
After WWF, I went back to Texas.
I think for a brief period of time. I know you went back to USWA too.
Yeah, I know I went back to Bill Watts for a while. I can't remember what it... Anyway, it was no money.
Right.
It was no money then.
At that point in your career, were you frustrated with the business?
Yeah. But I didn't know anything else to do except drive trucks. And driving truck was the first thing I ever done before I started wrestling.
Huh.
And so I just kind of toughened out and hung on in there with it.